The dust of Narok swirled around Milanoy's bare feet, a gritty veil against the harsh morning sun. At 17, she was a wildflower, tall and strong, her eyes reflecting the vast Kenyan sky. But today, the sky felt like a cage. Her father, his face etched with worry and a desperate kind of resolve, had announced her betrothal. Ol Odipoi, a man whose age whispered of 70 rainy seasons and whose wealth echoed in the countless cattle he owned, was to be her husband. "It is for the good of the family, Milanoy," her father pleaded, his voice heavy with the weight of their struggling homestead. "He will provide for your brothers, for your sisters. You will never want for anything." Milanoy's heart pounded like a trapped bird. "But father, I want to finish school. I want to go to university. I want to build a business, a cattle empire, with my siblings, here in Narok." Her voice cracked with desperation. "Please, father, don't do this." Her words were swallowed by the wind. Oli Odipoi, a figure of wrinkled skin and heavy beaded necklaces, arrived in a procession of cattle and solemn men. He looked at her with eyes that held no warmth, only the cold calculation of a transaction. The wedding ceremony was a blur of chanting, the bleating of sacrificed goats, and the heavy weight of tradition. Milanoy, her spirit a burning ember, felt a profound sense of injustice. She was a commodity, a pawn in a game she had no say in. Life with Ole Odipoi was a suffocating routine. "Bring me water," he'd command, his voice raspy. "Tend to the cattle. Do not speak unless spoken to." Her dreams of university were mocked, her ambitions dismissed. She was confined to his manyata, her days filled with chores and the silent, watchful eyes of his other wives. One day, while tending to the cattle, she met a young man named Lekishon. He was a distant relative, a quiet, thoughtful herder with eyes that held the same fire as hers. "Milanoy," he said softly, "you have a light in your eyes. Do not let it dim." "It is dimming," she replied, her voice filled with despair. "I am trapped. There is a world beyond Narok," he said, his voice filled with passion. "A world of books, of knowledge, of possibilities." He saw not a commodity, but a woman with a brilliant mind. They met in secret, their conversations whispered under the vast, star-studded sky. Lekishon, who was a high school graduate, began to tutor her in the evenings, using stolen moments to teach her mathematics and English. "This is algebra," he'd say, his voice low and urgent. "This is how you solve for the unknown." "Like my future," Milanoy would whisper back, her eyes shining with newfound hope. "I will solve for my future." The days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Milanoy's resolve hardened. She would not be a victim. She would find a way. She began to secretly sell some of her own crafts and some milk from a cow. She tended to, hiding the money. She learned about microfinancing from Lekishon. One evening, Ole Odipoi, suspicious of her quiet defiance, discovered her hidden books and the small pouch of money. His rage was a storm, his words a torrent of accusations. "What is this?" he roared, his face contorted with anger. "You dare to defy me." He threatened to send her back to her family, a disgraced woman. But Milanoy, her voice trembling but firm, stood her ground. "I will not be broken," she said, her eyes blazing. "I will not be a prisoner. I have dreams, and I will achieve them." Lekishon, who had been hiding nearby, stepped forward. "She is brilliant, Ole Odipoi," he said, his voice strong and clear. She deserves a chance. He revealed to Ole Odipoi, and everyone gathered that Milanoi had been studying, that she was bright and determined. He spoke of her dreams, of her vision for a thriving Narok, of the business she planned to build. Then, a twist. Ole Odipoi, who had been listening intently, surprised everyone. "A woman with such fire," he said, his voice surprisingly gentle, "is not meant to be caged. She is meant to fly. I have been watching you, Milanoi," Ole Odipoi continued, "and Lekishon. I see strength and I see love. I will fund your education, Milanoi, and give you land to start your business. I will also fund Lekishon's education, and I will see you two married. You will run this business together. I desire a legacy of wisdom and strength." Milanoi, tears streaming down her face, looked at Lekishon and then back at Ole Odipoi. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. She had found not a prison, but an unexpected ally. She would build her empire, not just for herself, but for her siblings, for the future of Narok. With Lekishon by her side, in a small village, a cat named Whiskers discovered a magic fish in a pond. The fish promised 3 wishes in exchange for its freedom. Whiskers wished for endless fish, a cozy bed, and a bell that rang softly. The fish granted all 3 wishes and swam away, leaving Whiskers content and purring in the sun.